Hey everybody, welcome to another Tony show. I guess today's date is the December 9th, 2019. I'm going to cover a variety of different things. I'm going to talk a little bit about the week so far. I've had an interesting week. I had visitors coming in from Toronto. Came down to visit and, see the wonders of the store lab and what's going on and developing, talking about, nano bioprogramming and removing the program and so forth and so on, and other health issues, and then getting some clarity about different concepts and ideas and different things that are being propagated today as health, and really is so unhealthy it's not even funny. The thing that's interesting in today's times, because we're heading into a nano age, and the AI age, and quantum drives and D drives and quantum mechanics and all these things, we're transitioning into a whole new realm, basically an unreality, a controlled reality that can be controlled now by artificial intelligence, which it is doing as I'm speaking. And with the tools that are coming out and the tools that are coming forth, the health food industry now is jumping on the bandwagon. They are getting into that commercial aspect of how can we capitalize on quantum, AI, nano. So now we're going to come up with products that are on a quantum level, or on a D drive level, or on a nano or pico level, or on levels of intellect that sound really, really scientific. They're selling carbon C60, and carbon C60 is just a pile of crap. Nothing but high rubbish. The way it works with the body, how it interacts with how it interconnects with the cells, how it interconnects with the neurons and the autonomic nervous system, how it connects to the DNA, and the propagation of it being such a wonderful thing. We're talking about that with some of the people that came by, and I explained to them what happens is people get caught up on a sensationalistic concept. Hitler made a comment: if you want to propagate a lie and sell it to the people, the bigger the crowd and the more creative the lie, the more it will go over. It will sell. Part of the reason being is most people do not read or study or understand how to read or what they're reading. So when you get caught up in that frantic mob mentality, you get sucked into this black hole. No rhyme, no reason, you're just sucked right in. And so as a result, you will buy whatever they're selling. You will believe whatever they're telling you. This is how the TV evangelicals work as well. They got a big mob in their organizations, and when they start propagating whatever they're propagating, because so many people may watch them on television, or they go to the auditoriums or the arenas where these people propagate whatever they're propagating, they sell you on this ideology that they're propagating. And this goes on not only in the TV evangelical realm, this goes on in the political arena. The political arena is the most corrupt, unreliable, most creative line of bullshit you'll ever hear in your life. And what they do is they got everybody fixated on the political leaders or the political realm as if they were a movie star. When we watch movie stars and they're performing, they're and acting, it's like a mob mentality again. And eventually, sometimes people actually believe what the actors are trying to convey in the story that they're acting out in. And a lot of our ideologies, beliefs, fantasies, realities, whatever they may be, a lot of it unfortunately has come from television or the movies or the radio, and now YouTubes and Daily Motions and other media that are on the internet that are propagating a theme, a concept, a visual, if you will, on whatever. And when you go to look at these things, they all look and have the appearance of something phenomenal, something great, something wonderful, something good. And when you read and when you hear these guys talk, they're smooth bullshitters is what they are. And you got this also in the gurus in the health food industry, the what I call goofy gururitis, where a lot of them will come up and propagate all kinds of shit that they're selling in order to get you to buy their products, which do absolutely nothing but compromise you further most times, especially if they got silicon dioxide, titanium dioxide, aluminum lake, all types of soy, artificial natural flavoring agents, which might be aborted baby proteins, different types of polymer materials, hypercross carmelose, microcrystalline cellulose, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And when you listen to these people, they're talking, I wouldn't call it New Age anymore. New Age is basically bunk. All bunk. Anybody who's been in it, been through it, will tell you the same thing. It's bunk. The so-called light workers are bullshitters. It's identical. It's exactly identical to the TV evangelicals. Those of you who are wanting to see bullshit at its prime, tune in to a New Age video on YouTube, and then tune in to a TV evangelical on the YouTube, and you will see that it's exactly identical. The format's exactly identical, but the names and the names and the realms will sound different, will kind of seem antagonistic even, but when you break it down, it's exactly the same thing. Selling people on some kind of propaganda that can't really be proven on any level, especially when it comes to the New Age crap, all this universal consciousness and the celestial, whatever, and it's all a copy. Basically, it's all a copy, from the themes that we heard when we were children about God, heaven, and the next life, and the afterlife, and the resurrection. So when you hear that, and you hear all these other themes, they're saying exactly the same thing, is using a different vernacular when they say it. That's really what it boils down to. But when you see how these guys propagate their propaganda, there's absolutely no difference. It's nothing but lies, deceptions, maneuvers, manipulations, and bullshit. And again, one will say, well, we're not this, and one says, well, we're not that, yet they have the same identical dogmatic doctrines being propagated, but just said differently. And the same thing is going on in the health food industry. We're using things like angstrom and ultrafine and nano, and we think, wow, ooh, sounds almost like someone's having one of those moments. Those who know what I'm talking about will get it. Those who don't, carry on. But you get into that whole concept there and think, wow, this is really far out. This is really way out there. This is so, this has got some, it sounds so good. It sounds so good. It sounds so good. It just feels good. It just feels good. I had a young guy write me an email. He says, this guy on the YouTube says blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, there's a lot of people that say a lot of stuff on there. I said, did you go and validate what he said? Did you actually go and look up the information on your own to see what they said? Or you just caught up on the entertainment of the cartoon that you just saw? So then he decided, I gave him a little bit of a, wake-up call there. He decided to go look this stuff up. That's what you've got to do. Look, I don't care if it's a TV evangelical. I don't care if it's a man in a pulpit. I don't care if it's a man in a temple. I don't care if it's a man in a synagogue. I don't care if it's a man or woman. Or I don't care if it's a representative of whatever ideology, faith, belief, whatever's going on. I don't care if they're a guru in the health food industry. I don't care if they're a political leader. I don't care what they may be. If they're out there on the pulpit having the center of attention, and you have a mob mentality, a mob rule, a mob perception going out there, don't get sucked in with the emotional tsunami that comes over everybody, because they are not thinking. They have just been programmed. They've just had their brain disengaged. They are no longer comprehending anything or thinking analytically about what is being said. Now they're getting caught up on the visual effect that's going on in the head, that something could cause you to have longer life, can free you of cancer, can give you, more strength, more power, more size, can give you more sexual machismo, can give you more endurance, can give you better breathing, better visual, can help the skin recover, can make you almost impervious to anything that may come along, or giving you materials that are supposed to purify, remove toxins from the body, and yet can amplify and increase the toxicity of what is being supposedly removed. These are things you seriously have to think in these terms today, because we no longer have the ethical capacity we once had. What we have today based primarily are people who are in positions being manipulated or maneuvered and keeping the real cures away. How many of you have actually seen a cure? How many of you have actually seen a cure? And then how many of you have actually heard somebody use the word that they've cured somebody? How many of you heard that? Nobody. You haven't heard that expression for at least 50 to 60 years. Now you may have heard the odd person say they found a cure, or they found what appears to be a cure, or they found some kind of material that can alleviate or help restore the body, blah, blah, blah. But we have never seen a cure since probably the mid-1950s. So today, no cure. Zero. Why isn't the stuff in the health industry helping you recover? I can recall 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when I would go into a health food store and I'm not feeling good, or something would hit me, I would take whatever supplements that were there. At that time, we didn't have what we had. We didn't have this array of junk and garbage and crap that's being sold today in the health food industry. But anyway, we had stuff that we would take, and within a day or two, you were back to normal, bouncing back, and you were full on, ready to go. I don't see that today. Quite frankly, I see the opposite. I see people languishing and lingering and continuous compromise as a result of whatever they've been exposed to, whether it's through a workforce, work job section, whether it be an office section, whether it be in a position of management, whether you were eating cornflakes, eating soy, whatever it may be. Not recovering. One of the reasons why most are not recovering is because you've been misdiagnosed dramatically. Some of you have been sent me copies of whatever, saying that you had Lyme disease, and you've used everything that they've given you for the Lyme, and nothing works. It's not doing nothing because you don't have Lyme. Lyme is being used at this stage to cover up for nano-bioprogramming or nano-poisoning. That's what's really going on. The powers that be and the elites do not want you to know what can really work. So instead of giving you what really works, we're giving you something that may help pacify or minimize the uptake of whatever you're dealing with. It's important that you understand the nature how the health food industry makes its money. Health food industry makes its money on vanity. Vanity. Bible says, vanity of vanity, says the preacher. All is vanity. That's exactly what they sell. Majority of the time, it's vanity. It's going to make you look good. It's going to help your hair grow. It's going to keep your face wrinkle-free. It's going to help you with your blemishes. It's going to help you, with your respiratory issues. It's going to help you with your kidney issues. It's going to help you with your reproductive system. It's going to help you with the muscles in your body. It's going to help you with testosterone production. They will give you a list of things that these things are supposed to do. And a lot of those things, like the vitamin A, does work in that regard. Now, again, this is best for you to look these things up so you're not hoodwinked and bamboozled with somebody's mob oratory. See, when you're talking in front of a mob, anything you say is going to be, yeah, 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 oh yeah. Ever watch the Canadian Parliament? You ever watch that? That's such a circus. Watch the throne speech. What a hilarious joke. None of that can be achieved or done. The only thing they're going to go after, if you're Canadian, you're listening to this, when they did the throne speech, they also threw in their guns, people having guns. They're going to go after guns because it's the easiest thing on the agenda and the cheapest thing, because for them to propagate, free energy and carbon taxes and all these wonderful things they got to try to implement. Having a minority government can cause your government to collapse and a new election is sworn because, quite frankly, you couldn't get the bill to pass. And Canada's fragmented right now. So when we're seeing these things going on, with our politics, our health, our faith, whatever that may be, you have to seriously sit there and consider what you're listening to. What are you hearing? Is it real? Because you got to remember, every one of those things I've just mentioned has to do with mob rule or mob mentality. If I wanted to make $1 million tomorrow, I would put on the biggest YouTube show and I blasted it all over the internet and put on every site I could so I could reach 1 million people, because once I reach 1 million people, I've got a mob. Even if it's 1,000 people, 100 people, 50 people, you've got a mob in front of you listening to what you're saying, hanging on every word you're saying. You can now turn that into big mega dollars, which the powers that be do. They sell product, they manipulate people into thinking certain ways so that they will act in accordance to what they want them to think. They will vote who they want them to vote for, and they will go to work and do what they're supposed to do with minimal supervision, because they've had 3 decades or 4 decades of continually programming the generations so they get to the point they have absolutely no fight left in them to stand up to what is going on in their lives. When I'm talking about all the things that I mentioned earlier regarding to the health food industry and the junk it's selling, it's a catch-22, and it's a reverse speech. The shit is good, and the stuff that's good is shit. This is what they've got going. And when you're looking at that fact that this is what they're doing, you have to start analyzing what you are buying and disregard any of the gurus. Some people write to me all the time, Dr. So-and-so said this, and Dr. So-and-so said that. I says, Dr. So-and-so knows pharmacopoeia. Dr. So-and-so doesn't know CAM. Dr. So-and-so has no idea how herbs work. Most of them, if you ask them what a herb does, they don't have a clue. It was not in their curricular when they were going to school, so they have no idea that we're dealing with chemicals, phytochemicals, that when we get into the body will create a response, good or bad, depending on how you put them together. So this is why you don't take nano silver or carbon C60, because it gets lodged in the brain, or lithium and aluminum, because now you can get brain damage. It's imperative that you keep your brains clean. One of the things I tell women to do, mostly women, guys too, but mostly women because they're more susceptible to aluminum poisoning, is take a teaspoon of Epsom salt with a teaspoon of borax, mix it with water, add a little glycerin to it so that you have a little bit of a flavoring agent, shake it up, and now you can consume that throughout the day in teaspoon increments to help the body's skeletal structure to come back, to rebuild the skeletal structure, to amplify the effect of the magnesium in the Epsom salt, so that the magnesium can further push the aluminum out of the cells and out of the body, and then for the sulfur to cling to these things and pull them out and remove them. This is how we have to think. What solution for what is going on? I'm being hit with frequencies. How do I block it? Well, you can put Faraday cages. You can build a Mobius coil. You can have grounding straps. You can, you can wear RF shielding material, like silver, nickel, and copper, nickel material. You can, you can eat more saturated fat. These are things that we need to do. You can put an piece of aluminum on the floor, step on it barefoot, step on it, stand on it for a second, step off to discharge the buildup in your body. We've talked about this before. Your body acts like a capacitor or a battery. Once it reaches full charge, if it continues being charged up, the cells decide, the battery cells decide to let go. As a result of the letting go, damage gets incurred and more let go. Now, with hydrogen being on the release and the hydrogen being used in the release with the terahertz frequencies, anything that will produce the terahertz frequencies that can activate those metal particulates into a circuit can cause irreparable damage to the person and to the host. The hydrogen that gets released from the cells further superconducts the terahertz frequencies that go through the body. It would be a good idea to start thinking in those terms and what we need to do to remove and not buy junk that they're selling. Oh, the hydrogen is going to make you feel blah, 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 blah. NFC60 is going to give you, and you're going to be able to be a telepath and mentally link with other people. Wait till you look at the microprocessors and growing into chips. When they start talking that nonsense, what is happening now and what they're propagating is the fact that you have now building material inside your body which can be activated by a frequency to build an implant inside of you. That's what they're telling you. Okay. They have now the capacity to activate frequencies, to take whatever is inside you to build implants if they need to. This is why it's imperative that you get as much of this material out of you as quick as you can, using the bucket, using the triangle, using whatever means you have at your disposal to pull out the stuff. Taking bath and Epsom salt and baking soda, trisodium phosphate and borax, quarter cup of each, soaking in that, having a pulsar rate going on inside the tub or around the tub so that you're now being pulsed as well while you're in the tub to further disengage the programming that is running amok and networking in your body. These are some of the things we can do. Sharing the information with each other, helping each other build these things or get access to these things. Now, if you're broken, you can't afford a lot, then use make yourself a bucket. The bucket is easy enough to make and won't cost you an arm and a leg. And you can use the bucket for soaking your legs inside so you can further disengage Nano and more fully pull out the stuff that's accumulating in your body. The key game here is this: control. Why is China so gung-ho on screwing Hong Kong out of its democracy? Why is Canada putting in a lunkhead that is also doing the same thing, taking away our democracy in Canada? Why is it that we're seeing countries throughout the world becoming more authoritarian rather than democratic, capitalist, or communist, socialist? We're not seeing this divide as much like we used to. It's because the nano inside of the people over there are also being programmed to concede to this authority. You got China right now running a mad race with America, trying to catch up to America in artificial intelligence. They have the money right now for that. They've dedicated a huge sum of money toward the R&D. With China's current state of affairs right now, it doesn't have the full-on resources that it has to fully go into it. The United States is looked at as the number one linchpin and knockoff in order to take over the number one spot. The United States is extremely advanced with this AI technology, so it's going to be interesting when China and the United States decide to turn on their AI networks. And what I think will happen is the AI networks will interface with each other, integrate with each other, share each other data, and be the downfall of both of those countries. That's my take on what I see there. AI is neither benevolent, nor is it kind, nor is it merciful. It is none of these things. It has a face, it has some ears. Again, if you were to pinch the face of an AI construct, it wouldn't feel anything unless the sensors were there picking up the fact that you had, reached over and pinched it, and it would tell you that you pinched my cheek because that's the algorithm that it has. When you're looking at AIs, think of AI as a dual AI. The real AI, the mainframe AI, in the background of the AI construct that everyone believes is they're seeing. The real AI is far more advanced, far more dangerous than anything we've ever encountered. And particulates that are in the atmosphere allow it to go back and forth to and fro to work with the blockchain to further, again, lynch up the planet in a noose. If you sit there and think about this for a second, here we have a planet that's being sprayed with satellites all over the ionosphere. And we've got towers going up everywhere. And we got new technology always coming up, and censorship is also coming up. You can't say you can't use the term gay, you can't use the term lesbian. Back in the day they used to call somebody who was gay a faggot. You can't use that terminology anymore. You can't use you can't use terminologies as far as race goes. Back in the day, again, the people of different colors were called different. They were entitled in different forms and fashions. You can't use that because everything now is controlled speech. They call it hate speech, but it's not really hate speech. Not if the general population in the area uses that language. It's not used in a hateful way. It's just a means of declaring or defining or identifying people in the areas they live in. That's how it used to be. Now, if you use that terminology, you now are under the gun of that's hate speech. It's not hate speech if the whole vicinity or the whole area of people who are in those areas talk that way. That's how they communicate and how they communicate whatever they believe or see. We're losing that battle. Eventually, the activists and the waking people that are coming out here to talk, you're not going to be able to access them. You're not going to be able to find them because they'll have been suppressed. See, on one hand, if these guys push that button and get us into that very quickly, I'm going to become a rich man. I'm going to become rich overnight. Everybody that wants to buy my stuff will be looking for it if they can find me on the internet. I'm kind of jokingly saying that, but there is some truth to that. People then will be in a, what am I going to do if I don't have this information? This is why I always tell everybody, start downloading these things now. Don't just hesitate. Don't wait till the last week. Put them on DVDs. Put them on CDs. They'll last longer than the DVD or CD. But start downloading. Look, Google, YouTube is now saying they're under the COPA thing, and they violated COPA, and they got to get so much time to clear it up. Blah blah blah. That COPA thing again is coming down to take away freedom of expression from people. Look, it doesn't matter if the kid is 2 or 22 or 102. If they can read the signs on the computer that you shouldn't be there unless you're 18 and under, or whatever it may be, or you got a whatever, then if the sign is there and they go in to see it anyway, it's not YouTube's fault that they're watching this. But this is what they've done. They made this so horrifically hard for even YouTube, because if they leave one video up there that could be construed as a negative child interaction, they can get fined, I think $42,000 an episode. Until the person takes it down, until they do. So this is the realm we're living in today. We're living under an AI network that's changing everything. It's hooked up to blockchain, so now it has capacity to transit or to absorb the information wherever it is, and it then centralizes that information so all the AI networks in the blockchain can now access that information. It's a precarious spot we are in today. There's no question. We are in areas of life today where life isn't life, and death is basically, we're languishing in death because there's really nothing here per se anymore in regarding to what we should be doing, how we're doing it. We can barely stay alive just going to work. We can barely stay alive being able to buy foods and stuff. And again, it's an unfortunate reality that we are in this world today, and it's all been dedicated to basically start a war. You know, what happens if certain things happen between China and the United States? What if there's a real bad miscommunication that goes on between the two countries? What would happen? If I say war did break out, that's going to be the finale for both countries. That's a given. And anybody that's caught in the crossfire, that's also a given. So when we're looking and talking about different things today and what's going on and how we are, you know, in this quandary of deception and manipulation, and again, looking at your sources and where you're getting your stuff from, and how sometimes those sources aren't even good. Understanding and testing and researching what you're getting, what you're buying, what you're listening to, what you're being led to believe. And that's the other thing you got to worry about, the media. What is it leading you to believe, and how believable is it? And is there anything to substantiate what they're saying? See, that's how you got to look at everything. You know, is it substantial? Is it validated? Can it be proven, or is it all theory? I remember some time ago, some guy was talking about black goo, and I looked at and I watched that up until that point, and I turned it off because I knew right then and there the guy was speaking out of both sides of his backside. See, the black goo wasn't a black goo initially; it was a goo or a hydrogel material that was utilized to carry biological weapons into space, and the target was Russia at the time. It was the Chinese who invented it. You know. So they were basically using a hydrogel and a liposome technology to incorporate the materials within the gel. Was basically, I think they were using some kind of gelatin or seaweed material to contain the epidemics or whatever they were going to put in there. Fire them up into the air, let them land in Russia, releasing the payload, because they didn't have nukes at the time. So when I heard this guy say this, I thought, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. And then I heard some more of it. Someone tell me, well, you had the good goo and the bad goo and the black goo and the white goo. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm glad I turned it off. Understand what things really are. Someone just contacted me a little while ago about a product that she was considering. So I told her, this is what's in the product, so you got to be careful when you use these products, because they can poison you. Or if it's got an actual poison in the product, tell them not to use it. You know, it's all about choices. So, again, this is where we're at today. This is how things are working, and this is why validation and substantiation needs to be really, really, really followed through. Some of you say, well, I don't have time for all that. You know, I'm going to die anyway, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to die, so you know what? I don't have time. I don't care. My response to that is really simple. I have told you the truth. You don't care. Blood now is on your head, not my hands. You know, like it says in Ezekiel. So when we tell people the truth and they don't want to hear it for whatever reason, don't get offended. Don't get mad. Get happy. One less person is going to cling on to you. No, but you should be getting happier, because as people wake up or they don't wake up, those who do wake up will become more affiliated and more interconnected with other people who are awake. And those who don't wake up and don't want to wake up, okay, I mean, Jesus said that himself in Luke. Up until the day Noah walked into the ark, people were marrying and giving in marriage, and life went on, and life did whatever. It was still happening. Life was there. And so when the rain stopped, or not the rain, sorry, when the rain stopped and everything stopped with Noah, you know, and the whole thing started over. And I lost my train of thought here. I just got hit with something. No, I'm sorry, but with Luke, Jesus talking about, I got off on a tangent with Noah there, I don't know why, but anyway, I got hit with something. Okay, when Noah walked into the ark, they were still marrying and giving in marriage business as usual. And he said the same thing about Sodom and Gomorrah. And when Sodom and Gomorrah got hit and got wiped out, they got, same thing, they were still marrying, giving in marriage, business as usual. Right until the day God destroyed them for their wickedness. So, don't get caught up in that realm of thinking. If you say to people what you say to people about waking them up on chemtrails, on vaccines, on nanotechnology, 5G, 6G, nanobioprogramming, transgenetics food, transgenetics, transgenders, whatever you're talking about, the current stupidity of the day, and they do not want to hear it, move on. Bible says don't cast your pearls before swine lest they trample upon them. So if they don't want to hear the pearl that you've got to say, you know what? C'est la vie, baby. I'm moving on. I am done my thing, whatever. You don't want to hear it, I'm no longer obligated to talk to you. That's simple. That's simple. I'm of the mindset, the truth will set you free. I figure if I tell somebody the truth, sooner or later they're going to get free. And if they don't want to hear the truth, then they're going to stay stuck in the matrix. They can believe whatever merry-go-round, circus they want to buy into. Oh, we're going to come back as a cockroach. We're going to come back as a butterfly. Oh, we're going to come back as a fish. You actually believe that garbage. More or less, that's been validated now that the entities who have propagated that reincarnation nonsense did this in order to keep people stuck in this level or this frequency. Okay, and that's how the New Agers, or not, I should say the New Agers, the more awakened people who come from different realms, that's how they call it. That they're going to be, free and clear, and they'll be able to move on and evolve. They're not coming back here. Even Christ, for the believers, said the same thing. It was resurrection and the life. If you went to Him, you would be resurrected. In other words, you'd be transformed and you would evolve to a higher level. That is the promise, and that was what was given. So everybody is saying similar things, just using different vernacular, which is an indicator, which is a strong indicator that people are waking up irrespective of what they believe. And when they're talking, the language is becoming very identical, very similar on every level. And I think as we keep evolving, this is just my speculation on this. As we keep evolving, we're going to shake off all these theologies or these ideologies completely. We're not going to follow AI. We're not going to follow whatever goofballs in the pulpit. We're not going to follow a politician. We are going to evolve and transcend, or I shouldn't say transcend. It's not really a good word. I would say, and I don't want to use the other word either. I would say resurrect. I guess that's a really good terminology. Resurrect into what we were meant to be. That's how I perceive it. Terminologies is not. I'm not really hung up on terminologies. I get hung up on some of the meanings of what people say about certain things. How they define certain things. But all in all, I don't get hung up on terminology. Especially when everyone is saying the same thing. The wording might be different and the description might be different, but it's coming out with the same message. So when you're hearing everybody speak on this stuff, whether they're of the Quranic faith, Judaic faith, Christian faith, under Catholicism, under Baha'i, under Hinduism, Buddhism, under different political stripes, whether they be Republican, Democrats, free, or conservative, or liberal, and they're saying the same thing, or you're hearing the same thing being said, when they're in Parliament, or you're hearing the same thing when you're in a hall, or in a church, or in a temple, or a synagogue, and you're hearing the same thing. That people are talking to people, and everybody is now pretty much coming on board online, saying the same thing everybody else has been saying. That's progress on some level. got to be careful too, because just because people say what they say doesn't mean they're really there until the rubber meets the road. You know, and what I mean by that is things are going the way they should be going. When we're talking today on tech, different types of tech, you know, we're looking at surveillance. You know, see, one of the reasons why surveillance is going on is because artificial intelligence requires a great deal of data, and the more data it has, the more powerful it becomes. And it becomes increasingly powerful as everybody keeps sending things up into the cloud or wherever they're sending it. It's collecting all that data. It's collecting all the data it is collecting from interacting with people, you know, whether they be at a grocery store, grocery chain, maybe in a doctor's office, whatever. When we're talking today about protection, creating a belt or a cord and making a Mobius coil to surround the body can actually deflect some of the assault that you're being hit with. It's another simple little thing. We'll have to build that one because it's really easy to build, but it's kind of hard to explain. But basically all it is, you're coiling a wire around an object, and then as you're coiling it once or twice, you take that wire that you just coiled the second time and go across the corner, and again coil it twice, and then go back to the other corner, and then just go one at a time. And if you build that up and hook it up to a capacitor or whatever, it can actually block some of the frequencies that you're being hit with. Maybe blocking some of the stuff that AI may be trying to hack in your brain. AI needs data. That's why it can operate. And the more data, let's just, if you got cars on the road and they're all made with the new and improved AI networks, it now has access to that information and the information that these computers are using through their networks are now sharing this data back and forth. See, and that's basically how we have to operate too on some level. In order to make a difference, really make a difference, we have to you know, gather together and form a lobbying of our own, you know, in order to make the changes required. Going in there with $1,000 or $100,000 by yourself isn't going to do much, except they're just going to take your money, pat you in the back, and says, we'll look into it. So we need to seriously start looking at ways and means in order to make whatever we're building more effective, more pertinent, more efficient, whatever. You know, you need to start thinking in those terms. You know, when you think in terms of a collective and everybody's exchanging information, you'll have some of the best ideas ever regarding food, and regarding energy, and regarding frequencies, and regarding computers. You'll have the best, you know, because of how you collaborate and how you exchange. You'll be like a blockchain of your own. You know, open sharing or open concept of the data. It's a phenomenal thing to see bear fruit. It really is. You know, Brian 3969 collaborate. This is why you have the information you have today. I got another buddy of mine in Europe who I've collaborated. We built, you know, we formed looked at research on the triangle together. So I got another buddy also in Europe again who's looking at different things as well. Another one who built machines and, you know, has popped out all kinds of circuitry out of his body. So people are connecting, and when they connect, even if they're across the ocean, if you have access on a computer and you have access to get to each other, you can still brainstorm, irrespective of governments. You can still brainstorm, and you might be surprised what you might find. It's really cool. Alrighty, I think we're getting wound down here. Where are we here? We're getting close. Alright, I'm going to probably cut the show a little early today. Looks like I've had a long day, and it was interesting. It was good. It was a good day, actually. Again, I met a woman up from Toronto area, and she's looking at building structures with magnesium oxide and other things. She's sharing with me some information. So as soon as I get the information from her, when she gets set up, I will forward her information so that you can see what she's doing. She's got a great idea about building a off-grid system, an off-grid network, and in such a way where it can be even affordable. So again, when she sends me the data, I will send it all to you. All right, when you're looking at different people out there, you got Aramak on his channel, who's got, you know, perspectives and research on health. Again, I would check him out. He's a good guy. He's trying his best to get answers as well. So support him any way you can. You got Nano assembly videos from Brian396. So if you go on the google.com share, you'll find that you'll see his information is all there. His pictures he's taken of Nano to give you a visual of what you're going to be dealing with once you start detoxing and removing this stuff from the body. If you don't remove it from the body, it will cause eventually major accelerated breakdowns. So he has shown you with these pictures the nano that he's pulled out of his own body and giving you whatever description he's given you. So this is something you may want to pay attention to. Okay, Brian396 with his nano biotech link is www.minds.com/Brian396/blogs. That's on the nano biotech that he's researched. The other one's on the nano assembly videos, and that's photos.google.com/share. And so if you type in Brian396 photogoogle.com, and you'll get to the information. Okay, then you got me. I got the videos going, and these are the alternative to the alternatives when it comes to videos and showing you how to make things. So again, encourage you to do that, make stuff. And then you got the YouTube channel, where again was where we did a lot of the displays and how to make stuff. So you can go watch the channel. Again, I would suggest you start downloading whatever you can off that channel, off that network, and store that information somewhere so that they can't get lost. And so if something does happen, you always have your own copy. But or you can order from me. That's up to you. I mean, I'm not going to push that one or the other. So, but anything that you know that can help you, if we have something here, we'll help you out. Alrighty. Sorry. If you go to the augmentedforce.com site as well. Again, there's a catalog link. Access the catalog link, and you will find things there that might help you. There's all sorts of information and data there. Check it out. Check out what's there. Alrighty. I think that's pretty well got it. So tune in. Share this information with the people that you're in your networks. Get them aware. Try to get them aware, even if it's through soft measures, of what's going on and how they need to divert some time to what they need to know in order to protect themselves. Again, it's something that anybody can do. Alrighty, we're going to call it a day. I'll probably do a couple more shows this week. I want to mention that the deadline for the big ticket items will probably be done by tomorrow, which is Tuesday, or today, Tuesday rather. So after that, any big ticket item like a triangle or a bucket is not going to go. If it doesn't go out by tomorrow or Wednesday, it ain't going out. I'll hold them here, because if I don't hold the stuff here, chances are somebody's going to want what you paid for more than you did. So anyway, we will. We got, I think, till Wednesday, or Tuesday to Wednesday, and that's it. I can take the order tonight or today, and then tomorrow, whatever. All right, I think I got everything. All right, till the next show. For your health. See you in a bit.